Sometimes the pink opaque feels more real than real life. I Saw the TV Glow comes to us from A24 and writer-director Jane Schoenbrunn, who previously did a film called We're All Going to the World's Fair that I can best describe as visually arresting with some interesting themes. It certainly got a lot of people talking, and with this film, speaking of people talking, A24 put a hell of a goddamn marketing campaign behind it. They had a pretty decent cast overall with two leads, Justice Smith, who plays Owen, the adult Owen, even though we bounced around a little bit in the time period, and Maddie, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, who is recently in Amelia's Children. She's been in other stuff, a lot better than Amelia's Children. It wasn't her fault. Amelia's Children was just really, really bad. I did review that. You can check out my full thoughts, even though I kind of spoiled how I felt about it. But this basically takes place over a few time periods. It centers around Maddie and Owen, who bond over a show taking place in the 90s called The Pink Opaque. It's about two girls that have a psychic link that battle monsters, and it's this weird, crazy thing with this weird overlord character called Mr. Melancholy. And it certainly ends up, being something that bonds them. But unfortunately, once the show's canceled, let's just say things really start to fracture. And then it becomes a question of how obsessed were they with this particular show to the point it's dominating their lives? Do they have undiagnosed things that they really should have had taken care of at some point in their life? What's actually going on here? Can they solve this mystery before the entire mentality and fiber of their being is totally history? I Saw the TV Glow Tales. Woohoo! So, yeah, if you've seen a couple trailers for this, you might be confused as to what this movie is actually about. That's the best overlay I can come up with as far as the plot. Because if there was ever a movie where you really needed to watch it and soak in the visuals and soak in a lot of the technical wizardry of this whole thing, I Saw a TV Glow would be it. It is not for everybody. I will say that right now. Justice Smith, by the way, was recently in the American Society of Magical. I'm not going to say the rest of that. He was also in Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which I didn't think was actually going to be good, but Justice Smith has actually been good at some stuff. And then you do have the younger versions because this does take place, it starts in 1996 and then, goes over a period of years, 98, it just goes over a number of time periods. And I like the visual style of it. The cinematography is fucking beautiful. The color scheme, the color palette. Jane understands the assignment. They understood the assignment. Saying they, let's respect people's pronouns. Just want to say that right there. And actually, that's something with this movie that is something that some people could miss. Some people could, maybe not have this takeaway, but it also has to do with gender identity, gender conformity. And there are some nice, little jabs, so to speak, and a few things that might be off-putting to some people weren't off-putting to me because I like weird shit and I own a lot of A24 movies and I praise a lot of A24 movies. And while I will say that I don't think this is their absolute best, one thing I do want to praise is the soundtrack. I may actually buy this soundtrack. It is fucking phenomenal. There's some crazy shit going on. Like, it has that 90s feel to it, but feels timeless. And some of the camera shots and just some of the scary shit. Maybe scary, I guess is the wrong word, because it's more creepy than anything else. Because it's very much a suspense-filled movie where there's like maybe a couple things that I guess be qualified as jump scares, but this is more of a movie where, holy shit, there's some really fucked up stuff going on, and maybe some people are just really, really fucked up, and Justice Smith captures it well. Now, I will say there are a few scenes where I was like left kind of going, okay, and I had to think about it on the drive while I went to watch The Strangers Chapter 1. Yeah, I went from this, The Strangers Chapter 1, to If, by the way, just for the order of particular reviews. And the reason I decided to actually drive a little bit further to watch I Saw the TV Glow is it wasn't playing anywhere in my area, and I ended up actually being happy that I did, even if it took a bit to get into it and I wasn't sure how to take it. That fucking soundtrack is incredible, and I love the fact that when they were watching the show, The Pink Opaque, what I loved about it is the fact that it had that VHS feel to it without feeling gimmicky. At least not to me. It didn't feel gimmicky. And it was kind of silly. And it did actually show, a kind of the way like how people would view a show as it's happening, as they're getting into it. And then there are certain things I'll talk about in the spoiler section that tie back into the show. But what's nice about it is it does have that creepy atmospheric pressure of like, holy shit, there could actually be some weird shit going on. Or it could be all in your head, like our Lord and Savior the Gorillaz once said. As, for their song Clint Eastwood. The fact that they called that song Clint Eastwood still blows my mind. Great goddamn soundtrack in this, though. And, yeah, Fred Durst actually is listed in the cast in this. Try to spot him. Amber Benson. Daniel Deadweiler, who was in Parallel, which is another movie I reviewed. She actually is a very capable actress. I just wish that Parallel was better. But you had Lindsay Jordan, you had Helen Howard, you had Ian Foreman as young Owen. You had enough pieces here to make this work. And don't get me wrong, I don't know if this is going to be on my favorite films of the year list. It might just miss out on that. But it is certainly something that is going to stick with me, and something for the visual and the technical side I have to praise. Yes, it's weird, very weird. And there are certainly things that may turn some people off. If you watch this movie and you hate it, I will totally fucking understand. And I was wondering if I was going to hate it, because a bit of a spoiler, even though I reviewed this at one point, I did not like We're All Going to the World's Fair. Even though it looked cool, and I appreciate what they were trying to do. Jane did a good job, but they that missed the mark to me. But I see why people liked it. And had a $10 million budget. Justice really did capture that like confused adolescence, and just the fact of like feeling like almost having the mind of a child even as he grew up. Just like, and one thing I will say, and this, I mean, I guess it could be qualified as a minor spoiler, there are fourth wall breaks where they're literally talking to the viewers. So you have to wonder, okay, what's actually going on here? Is this all in their goddamn head? Are we trying to do meta commentary? What are we trying to do here? There are more questions than answers. There are some answers to some things, but Jane doesn't go hand-holding, and I respect them for that. And once again, respect the pronouns, pal. Let's just do that. That being said, I saw TV Globe was quite good as far as an A24 offering. I'm going to be getting into spoilers. If it's in your area, please check it out. Let me know what you thought. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, yeah, basically, young Owen, we have older Owen talking about, his younger self and how he met Maddie. Maddie, who is gay, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a problem with anybody in the LGBTQ community, fuck off. But Maddie bonds with a certain character, or a certain actress, that kind of bites her in the ass a little bit later. And then we see the Pink Opaque, we see this show, but since it's on late, it's only a half-hour show, which I never exactly understood. And looking at some of the monsters and everything, and some of the stuff, you almost think that there's like a little Power Ranger shit going on. It has that weird feel to it, but when you're watching it as a young adult, whatever, young adult, teenager, however you want to classify, you're going to see shit differently. There's stuff I hated as a teenager that I love now. There's stuff I loved as a teenager where I'm like, what the fuck was I goddamn thinking? But Justice Smith just has this weird, creepy way of saying the pink opaque. And I'm not saying him himself. I'm just saying the way he fleshed his character out and did this just like almost like haunting look about him. And it's hard to describe as far as like how the characters interact. It's beautifully told, but it's weird. It's just really weird and really haunting. This movie actually got to me more than I thought it would. Even as I was thinking, what the fuck is going on here? But we get some good dark comedy. Maddie makes it very clear this is a couple of years after they they first interacted when he slept over at her house instead of sleeping over at a friend's house that he's no longer friends with, but uses as an excuse. Maddie has been sending him tapes since he can't stay up still. He's kind of sheltered. His mother's trying not to shelter him, but his dad's a bit domineering. The mother, unfortunately, does end up dying of cancer sometime in the late 90s. But Maddie gets so obsessed with the goddamn show that she decides she wants to leave her bad home life. We hear like one like little thing off in the distance, like while they're down in the basement, that it seems like the parents are fighting. She says, we need to go, far away. We'll just get some money. We'll do whatever we do. And the thing is that Maddie's so obsessed with this particular thing. She's obsessed with escaping that she's willing to go to absolute extremes. And once the Pink Opaque actually ends, that's when things really get fucked up, because Maddie disappears, the show ends. And I believe it had 5 seasons, if I recall correctly. It never got a 6th season. The way the last episode ended, this is jumping way ahead in the movie, is the 2 psychic girls. They have weird ghost stuff on the back of their neck, and actually at one point Maddie colored one on there, and there was a conversation earlier where she says, I like girls, you know that, right? Yeah, that's totally fine. Well, do you like girls? I don't know. Do you like guys? I don't know. Gender identity. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. You like who you like as long as you're consenting adults. But well, I like TV shows, and that works. See, that was fun. That was funny. That was good. That was good stuff. And then we get some really messed up shit just going on. Weird visual stuff. The only thing that they found with Maddie is that her TV was on fire in the backyard. Like, nobody else knew what the fuck was going on. She suddenly appears 8 years later and talks about, do you remember the finale or the last episode of the Pink Opaque? He still watches it. He loves the show. He's been working at a movie theater for a while. Movie theaters, that's a tough business to work in. I worked at one for about 5.5 years. Would have stayed longer if the boss wasn't an idiot and a piece of shit. Fuck him. Hope he's not doing good at all. That being said, that kind of, leads to some isolation. He feels lost without having Maddie there. Maddie shows back up and says, watch the last episode. Last episode, you have the 2 girls, and one like had her heart cut out and she got buried alive and stuff like that. But then some resurrection thing or whatever. Maddie was like, the whole Mr. Melancholy, it's real. There's this weird moon, that's talking. It's no moon, it's a space station. It was strange. Very strange. It kind of reminded me of that To the Moon movie that the French did. The silent film. God damn it, I forgot what the hell it was called. That weird silent one where they launched and the moon got, the rocket in the eye. But nevertheless, all this crazy shit's going on. Justice Smith at one point is obsessed with they're obsessed with the show. He almost gets sucked into the goddamn TV, which was probably actually the scariest moment of the goddamn movie. His dad even has to rescue him from it. And all this time, Maddie is like, you need to come with me. I had to be buried. I had this person bury me, and, I had to come back and get you because we have to finish the show. What do you mean we have to finish the show? She starts referring to Owen as Isabel, who is one of the characters in the movie. And we see shots of Owen in a dress being referred to as Isabel. Again, nothing wrong with that. Do whatever you want. But this is the kind of stuff that could really throw some people off, where they're just like, what the fuck's actually going on here? And all this insane shit. And she finally practically convinces him that he, because at first, when Maddie wanted him to come with her when they were younger, he went to his old friend's house and talked to the mother and says, you have to basically tell my parents that I have been lying and everything. I need to be grounded. I can't go with her. So ever since then, he's felt a little bit lost. There was a great club scene, or dance club thing, or lounge singing. Beautiful brunette singing. Good grief, she was nice. But good soundtrack, really good soundtrack. So basically what ends up happening is, and Owen has asthma, by the way, and that's a thing that's actually factored in a little bit, throughout the movie. Maddie ends up trying to take him across to like this plot where they're gonna, where the boys used to smoke weed and everything, and they're gonna go to this, they're gonna go over here, they're gonna go and get buried alive and go to the Midnight Realm, which is like the realm where Mr. Melancholy, all this stuff's going on. So you think she lost her mind, or maybe it's actually legit, or they just got so obsessed with the television show, it's fractured their goddamn psyche and their grip on reality. he pushes away from her and runs away. And then he continues to work for the guy who managed the theater, who he walked in at one point, was getting a blowjob from one girl that could have been working at the theater for all I goddamn know. I don't fucking know. But then he has this thing called the Fun Center, which is referenced on this particular banner. And he's working at this Fun Center. All this stuff's going good. But now it's like 20 years later. Instead of 2006, it's like 2026. Or possibly 2030, whatever it is. And all this weird shit's going on. He's older. He's having issues. Still having the asthma. And he feels isolated and feels like maybe he should have gone with Maddie. Maybe he doesn't belong in this world. Maybe all this stuff is all in his head and whatever's going on. He has such a bad grip on reality at this point because he either doesn't understand what's going on in his own head. This is the best I can interpret this stuff. I'm pretty certain I'm probably getting a couple things wrong, and I apologize, but this is my interpretation of it. Even has this like fucking blow up, and then there's this tie back to for the end. There's this tie back to like something earlier where Maddie basically says, maybe you feel like there's something in you that you need to get out, that you need to cut out of you. So he does, and then there's this weird shining light and crazy stuff and whatever, and he's basically freaking all the goddamn way out. And yeah, he's screaming and freaking out at like this birthday party celebration that they're doing at the Fun Center, and I'm not necessarily certain what's going on. He's still obsessed with the pink opaque. Maybe it was a show. Maybe it was much more in the show. It has an ending that basically makes you think like, well, okay, pretty much everybody lost their goddamn minds. That's what I took out of it. This was certainly a strange movie. It does not get an A+. It gets an A-. But visually, it really is very arresting and very impressive. And I appreciated what Justice Smith and Bridget did. I can't say I totally grasped every single thing in this movie, but it was very, very good. So let me know your thoughts on this particular movie in the comments, please. If I got anything wrong, sure I did, please let me know. And I do want to say, Jane, once again, they did a great job writing, directing this. Looking forward to what they do in the future. So A-. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.